Na mbali na hayo ni kwamba mashirika mbalimbali yakiwemo Raia Trust na IPOA leo yameratibiwa kutoa maoni yao kuhusu maridhiano ya kitaifa kwenye kamati ya mdahalo wa kitaifa kwenye ukumbi wa Bomas hapa jijini Nairobi. Hebu tusikilize yale ambayo yanajiri.
Is it possible that it also borders Isiolo?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Now, my other question is, because in terms of viability, you have really made efforts to demonstrate your viability, if made into a county. But what would this split, the coming out of Wajir South from the greater Wajir County, do to the remainder of Wajir South, Wajir County? Would the other Wajir remain viable?
Yes.
Okay, that's just not down. Just not down. Okay? Would the other Wajir remain viable? Two, and last actually, is, and I'm sure, of course, given that you have got very eminent present and former MPs here, legislators, you know the route through which a county can be created, okay? Under the current present constitution. It is not something that IDC can do, okay? It is something that would have to go back to Parliament, okay? But then, it will also entail a referendum. I'm not sure if you are aware about that, okay? So, therefore, as you make these proposals, are you conscious of the fact that this would require the holding of a referendum? And are you supportive of the holding of the referendum on this issue and any other issue? Okay? We want to get to know your views on that. And finally, understand you have not touched on any other issues which is before us, rather than the creation of your own county. Would you have any view, okay, on how we should go about the issue of the IBC? Thank you very much.
Any other person?
Okay, thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to commend this team for your very able presentations. We have had such a similar team like yesterday, but compared to this one, this has really come out. I'm sure, team, you can attest to this. Very, very mature. I only noted one thing. You said Wajir South has the potential to agriculture and products, and it has the biggest potential. And you mentioned only of 3 markets. In your own opinion, don't you think that by creating an extra county, it would further eat into this Wajir South because of the potentiality of these agricultural products? And also looking at all the other resources that you have mentioned, you get the least fine, but in terms of production, you do better. So what is your own opinion? Do you think, will it not affect you as a community? Thank you.
Okay, I also have a few questions. In fact, you have the benefit of having a former governor. Just as by way of your own analysis, not necessarily just to the governor, but even you have a former senator. How much revenue would you say of the overall revenue that is collected from Wajir County comes from Wajir South? Because I want to look at the justiciability, that what you get is about 5% of the revenue allocation. So what do you collect? Also that touches to the viability of the county. Number 2, I want you to respond to a sensitive question. And it was a question I was going to ask the other 27 members who are going to come to equally, I saw Ado here with the rest of the 27, who also want various counties across the country, from Suba to various other parts, including Ijara. don't you think that this leads to further balkanization of the country? You know, there's been a general talk in Kenya around creating little fiefdoms and enclaves. Some of these constituencies, I'm aware, were carved out specifically for particular individuals. So what do you think then now, if you do carve out a county, which dominantly would be for a certain clan, will not lead to further balkanization of the country? It is the same the Suba want to do, it is the same in a few other realities around the country. I am sympathetic of the lack of representation, of the lack of the marginalization within these counties, but is a further administrative and political boundary a solution to it, or are there other remedies to that question? Then equally, I wanted to just understand, in your own assessment, why do you think successive governors have deliberately decided to marginalize you? What is the political rationale to that? Because governors, like every other leader, is expected to serve all and sundry equally. Why would you think two governors, I think it was Jir, then Mohamed Abdi, who you deputized, then Jir again, why would they carry out such an injustice or a miscarriage of justice, which effectively means we could equally seek his views as to why he has done that.
If you could do it under...
For that matter, when that was happening, where were you?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and committee members. I'll try to attempt to answer some of these questions, and our MP, together with other members, could chip in if definitely I will have gaps. If I have gaps, they will put it down. The first is what do you think of viability of the rest of Wajir if Wajir South was carved out? If I go to right, the rest of Wajir will be viable for a number of reasons. The other constituencies put together will have a population of over 400,000. So they can comfortably have in terms of numbers. In terms of potential, Wajir North, for instance, has a border with Ethiopia. The cross-border trade I've just mentioned that is going to happen on this other side will also be, and is already happening on the other side. They also have, in terms of agricultural potential, the northern part is quite potential. Just like we only have more livestock, but they also have livestock. They're also facing towards Mandera, and they can do movement of people and goods will equally be the same. So I feel in terms of numbers, in terms of revenue generation, they'll be able to move on their own comfortably. The one on revenue for the South. When I was talking about markets, because of the time limits, I could not expound on what happens in terms of agriculture production and in terms of livestock. I just mentioned 3 markets for livestock. We are proposing the creation of Wajir South County because we have serious agricultural potential. Abaswen, where we have a lot of water. I mentioned that giving us the county will help boost agricultural practices. People are already practicing irrigation. It's not only production of livestock. We'll be producing food. We'll be producing vegetables, which we are already producing. So there is much more. And in terms of revenue, it's not been quantified. But through those markets, we are contributing to the coffers at the county. But it's not been quantified yet. On balkanization, I want to respond to the question our brother Hassan Umar has raised on balkanization. We are not going to talk like the Suba. We are not going to talk like the other smaller communities. We are a majority community. in the county. I want to point out this very clearly. We're a majority community, and we're asking for the county because of the number of viable opportunities we've mentioned. And other constituencies in the county have an opportunity to join in. We're not talking about limitation of boundaries at this stage. Any other constituency, neighboring constituencies, can as well join in. And much more, some of our communities live in other constituencies, including Wajir Town and Wajir Bor and other areas. We're not saying we'll annex this immediately, but we are allowing our community, even from the south, who live in Wajir East constituency, to actually join in. I come from Wajir Town myself, and a number of leaders here, and communities. So it's not going to be a small enclave for a community called Ogaden. It's going to be a county for Wajir, an increase for Wajir in terms of opportunity, the old Wajir, and even for Kenya. We're asking Kenyans to come, join us and develop that county. We're not going to talk about a small enclave for the Olos and Ados. So kindly allow us. I know you'll pass that message.
Just on the same frame as we've conclude that particular point.
Yes.
Which constituency would you find the Ajuran?
Ajuran are in Habaswein, in our own constituency headquarters.
Okay, so then in other words, you are cutting yourself off from the Godia.
Just a minute, Hassan. Let me now put it clearly. I'm glad that you understand. Habaswein was proposed to be even a municipality during Honorable Arale's time. The Ajuran lives there. The Ogaden lives there. There are other smaller communities. We live within the Godia right in town. I am telling you, I come from more than in town, and there will be no harm in the Dogodians living around those areas to join this part. They can have a location in the south county. Who say? So we will talk about if there is any constituency that has all communities. Actually, it's the south, I will say. So I will want to stop at this. I know I have not addressed the question on what have you said about other matters before the committee? We knew the dialogue committee was established for major reasons beyond the creation of counties. And we feel for us to be much more cohesive, we need to address what makes every given cycle of an election people fight in this country. And it's because of the winner takes all. As a community, we are saying we want to embrace inclusivity in all institutions. That's how I'll put it, because I'm not the only one. I don't want to look like I'm the only.
How to actually answer everything.
I need that revenue thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let it be answered.
Thank you very much, Chair. The county of Wajir collects less than 70 million annually. 70 million, which is way below its potential. The reasons can be many, but among them is pilferage and the misuse mostly at the source. So we feel Wajir South alone can collect not the 70, but more than times 10 of that figure. So I don't know whether I answered the issue whether I answered the issue of revenue. Like now, we rely mostly on boreholes when it comes to water in Wajir County. Before devolution, 75% of the boreholes were in Wajir South. Currently, over 60% of boreholes in Wajir County are in Wajir South. These are all avenues and for revenue collection. One other question was why will successive governors
na mtazamaji